They'll do it until you guys stop reading and posting on such stories. So far it has 319 comments in the top post. This has 26 thumbs in less than an hour. It's all done by an algorithm. If a story gets viewed and commented on, then more and more will follow. So ultimately, it's your fault. They churn out what gets traction. Which it turns out to be Meg, Brexit, parking tickets, and wardrobe malfunctions. The commentator said Piers Morgan's latest criticism of the Duchess of Sussex was unhinged and just demonstrated his unjustified hate for her. She posted, "Piers Morgan's latest attack on Meghan Markle is unhinged and other usual media suspects trying to discredit #archetypes demonstrate their unjustified hate for her." Dr. Moshogbamimu is a self-confessed fan of Meghan and Prince Harry and has previously heaped praise on the Duke following his speech at the UN General Assembly in New York. Her rant comes after Meghan's hotly anticipated podcast was released on Spotify on Tuesday, where she shared a conversation with her close friend, tennis great Serena Williams. No Shola, the hate for Meghan is totally justified, as it is entirely of her own making. Meghan is a perpetual liar and I truly believe she believes her own lies. I have come across a couple of people like her and even when confronted with evidence they are lying, they continue to do so, as they can't/don't see that they are wrong. But critic Piers was less than impressed as he quoted a tweet in which Meghan shared the negative reaction she felt from the royal family as a result of her ambition. Addressing his 7.9 million followers, he wrote on Twitter, "It's not your ambition we dislike, Princess Pinocchio, it's the vile way you trash the royal family whilst simultaneously exploiting your royal status for millions of dollars as with this podcast." Piers also accused Meghan of whining when she shared the trauma of how son Archie narrowly escaped a fire in his bedroom on the Sussex's royal tour to South Africa. Meghan recounted the experience and spoke of her distress after learning of the near miss soon after delivering an empowering speech to girls in the Nyanga township in Cape Town, before rushing back to see Archie and then having to leave him to carry out another official engagement. "Shola is such an awful woman. Why doesn't she leave and go live in America?" So Meghan does her podcast, which she could have made really interesting with her guests, but spoils it by having another dig at the monarchy because they had to do more engagements. "So when you're told about Archie, did they forget to tell you he was safe and unharmed? Why didn't the pair of you not check that where Archie was staying was safe? No fire alarms, using a heater? Where was his bodyguard? There are millions of people this very moment that has to carry on regardless of what happens." Overnight George VL died. Elizabeth had to travel back as a queen walked down the plane steps and continue. "My boss, just as he was going to photograph a wedding, had a call to say they had found his father dead." What did he do? Photograph the couple's special day. Oh, and have you only just remembered this incident because you didn't mention it to Oprah? But Piers hid out, tweeting, "He wasn't even in the room and nobody was harmed." Can you imagine the Queen whining about having an engagement in this circumstance? Markle's victimhood knows no bounds, nor does her thirst to trash the royals whilst making dollar from them. It's shameless and pathetic. The Sussexes had dropped their young son off at the housing unit they were staying in for a sleep straight after flying in for their official tour in 2019, with the couple then leaving to kickstart their royal visit with their first engagement. Meghan said, "There was this moment where I'm standing on a tree stump and I'm giving this speech to women and girls, and we finish the engagement. We get in the car and they say there's been a fire at the residence." What? There's been a fire in the baby's room. We came back. And, of course, as a mother, you go, "Oh, my God, what?" Everyone's in tears, everyone's shaken. And what do we have to do? Go out and do another official engagement. I said, "This doesn't make any sense." Archie's then nanny, named only as Lauren, a Zimbabwean who liked to tie him on her back with a mudcloth, had taken him downstairs with her instead while she went to get a snack, just as the heater in the nursery caught fire. So let me get this right. If I say anything about Shola, I would be labeled as racist. However, whether you like him or not, I take it that it is acceptable to make accusations about Piers Morgan by Shola, and that is not racist. By the way, Shola, Serena Williams has denied being a close friend of Meghan's. She described her relationship with Meghan as an acquaintance. Mind you, that doesn't add up either because I can't recall one person who was an acquaintance being at our wedding. Funny old world. You win some and you can buy others. Meghan added, in that amount of time that she went downstairs, the heater in the nursery caught on fire. There was no smoke detector. Someone happened to just smell smoke down the hallway, went in, fire extinguisher. He was supposed to be sleeping in there. The Duchess described how she wanted to tell people what had happened. She said, "I was like, can you just tell people what happened?" And so much, I think, optically, the focus ends up being on how it looks instead of how it feels. She stressed the need for more understanding of the human moments behind the scenes. The Duchess added, "We had to leave our baby. And even though we were being moved into another place afterwards, we still had to leave him and go do another official engagement." Williams replied, "I couldn't have done that." Shola Mos Shogbamimu. Every time I see an outburst bearing this name I can't help but ask the question. Who is she to have so much influence in mainstream media without finding any worthwhile answer? I never read past the first few lines of any piece. Doubt many do. She's always got to start her ranting when she doesn't agree with what appears to be any white person saying anything about her race. She's one big-mouthed racist who's always out to cause trouble. She should get booted out of Britain as she seems to hate white Brits. Search for Nigerian monarch apologizes for traditional rulers' participation in slave trade. A short extract. White men never forced us to sell our children as slaves. Our fathers voluntarily released their children on excitement for peanut. Then, there was no means of payment. Humans were offered in exchange for glittering material gifts. Why isn't that being taught in schools? Draw your own conclusions. Well, it hasn't taken long for Dr. Motormouth Shola to jump back on the bandwagon and jump to Gingjin Cringe's defense. Maybe she should go and live with the toxic too. Dr. Motormouth Shola, just zip your lips for a change. Nobody's interested in what you say. Maybe Scobie and you are their biggest fans or their only fans. Everyone knows what Markle is really like, everyone knows that she has acted her way through the last 5 years, and everyone knows that Serena Williams barely knows her. Virtually every word that comes out of Markle's mouth is insincere. She hasn't got an honest bone in her scrawny body. Piers was absolutely spot on. Right from the beginning when Meghan did the Oprah interview, he cast doubt on her claims of being suicidal. And he was right, she is not the type. It was merely to push Harry's buttons. Tom Bower's book, which includes eyewitness testimony from 80 people who were close to her, gives us an alarming picture of a person who from a very young age was an arch manipulator. Her thinking processes are cold-blooded and horrific in an absence of feeling for anyone. She relentlessly drives her agenda forward, leaving a trail of broken people. No more so than her dad, who moved heaven and earth to give her everything she wanted. Why? Because he couldn't bear to lose his little princess, and failure to get her what she wanted to be meant that she punished him. Dr. Shola's refusal to see the truth about Meghan will be her downfall. She will not be missed.